gotta tell you, going at that slow pace is basically worthless. I watched a video once where they explained the effects of certain paces as far as longevity goes, and below a certain threshold, there was no advantage to exercise.
I didn't know that. But see, I'm not afraid to confess to my ignorance.
So, how much do you know about religion?
Well, my parents are believers. I was raised in the Presbyterian church. Could not wait to get out of there, to get them out of controlling my life.
You really are a renegade.
Well, I call them like I see them. I had lots of questions about God and the Bible, and they just kind of blew me off and said, just believe. I don't roll like that.
Do you think perhaps the problem was with your denomination and not Jesus and the Bible?
Nah, I pretty much dismissed every flavor of Christianity as lacking.
Well, not exactly a wise assumption based on your limited experience.
Okay, so stipulated. So, where do we begin this quest to broaden my mind?
Well, I figure since you're a science guy, let's start there. But you have to dispense on your boundaries with naturalism. If you won't allow God in the scientific discussion, then this exercise will be futile.
Okay, so what exactly does that look like?
Weigh all evidence with this question. Could God be the answer to the whodunit? And would God be a more likely answer than what naturalism provides?
That sounds like two questions to me.
Or two sides of the same question, but let's not get bogged down by semantics.
I agree. Hey, before we get started, you're a doctor, right? So you have all this formal science training. How is it that you can reject evolution?
Since evolution is the glue that holds all biology together?
Exactly.
My dad laughed when you said that, but he failed to press you on the topic. I found that I had no need for macroevolution in learning about the body's processes like birth and the health of babies and mothers. And the historical origin of Homo sapiens isn't really of regard to me, since it doesn't change the fact that our typical normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees, and we can only survive a few days without water and a few minutes without oxygen. I don't need Darwin to care for my patients, and I venture to guess the same is true for anyone working in the field of biology. Ready for the next one?
I guess.
Let's go.
So, you reject evolution because you don't find it useful?
I reject macroevolution because I find it unsatisfactory in explaining the diversity and complexity of life. The glue of biology is the spark of life, and you admit that scientists don't even know what life is. Your theory depends on all these miraculous, remarkable changes to organisms over millions of years. The explanation that God created things are the way they are just leaves no need for any other explanation.
Well, I explained to your dad that various types of mutations and natural selection could account for that diversity.
Could. But the fairy tale-like progressions of those mutations defies belief by a rational person. He tried to pin you down into explaining how the blood and the blood vessels and the lungs and the liver and the brain could all have evolved slowly. But you squirmed out of the question by citing your evidence for things that we have witnessed. But can you draw a picture of a complex organ like a heart evolving into being, along with the miles of blood vessels and the lungs bringing in the oxygen that carries the blood to the cells? And don't just try to evade the question by giving me the lame answer that changes in DNA could pull off that miracle.
Most intelligent people don't consider that to be a lame answer.
Well, draw the picture. You can't do it. And that's why you have to evade the question with coulds and might haves. A human being is not like an airplane where the seats and the wheels and the engine can all be blueprinted and put into place one at a time until the whole airplane is complete. A human being has to survive during the process of the changes. You can't blueprint the process for survival when survival is required for the process, and that's Logic 101.
Did anyone ever tell you how pretty you look when you get animated?
Are you derailing my argument with petty flattery? Let me